Hi guys, it's Irene's Braids and I am back with another video. Alright you guys, so today we'll be doing a video on corn rolling braids. I'm doing, cornrow, not corn rolling. I don't know why I said that, but you know what I meant. So cornrows, and we are using colors 613 and we are doing a nice ash blonde slash 613. So there's two different colors here, and one of the bundles come with an ombre of an ash blonde and a 613 for the tips. And what I am going to do is I'm going to feed in 613 throughout the braid. All right, so to begin my braid, this is the sides piece of braiding hair that I'll be using. And as far as in my second braid, it will be as consistent with the first piece that I just showed you right here. So when I do my client's hair, I like to start off with their natural hair first. I don't care what I'm doing, any type of feed in braid. I always start off by braiding their natural hair first, so that way their hairline isn't being pulled too tightly. Then also, it won't cause any tension and bumps. When you start off with a piece of extension braided hair, sometimes it could be a little too tight due to the type of braiding style that we're doing, and it could cause tension bumps and things of that nature. So it's always best to just start off with the client's natural hair. So what I'm doing here is I'm going to continue to keep braiding, and then I'll feed in a piece of braiding hair. I'll count 1, 2, 3, and then usually I'll add. But I'm just going to give you this little gem. Usually I'll add based upon the consistency of the braid that I'm looking for, 1. But 2, you can always feel it in your fingers when the hair is getting too low and you need to add more. So that's one tip I will give you guys, okay? So let's continue watching as you watch me feed in the rest of this braiding hair and complete this cornrow. All right, you guys. So we have completed about 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 braids. So about 6 braids. You know what's so funny, you guys? You guys are always asking me, how many cornrows, how many braids did you do? I never count my braids. And why? Because everybody's head size is different. Why would I count them? So I'm going to tell you guys to put 6 braids because her head is small. And then you have a full size head. And I always say fuller head because I don't like to call people big headed. So I'll say, well, you have a fuller head. You're going to need more braids. So if I did 6 braids on her, you may need 10 to 12, you know? So that's why I don't tell you guys how many braids I've done. If you notice why I don't never say it, that's why. All right, so back to this braiding. You guys can see where I'll add in a piece of braiding hair to the end of the braids as I'm braiding. And I'll do that because I like to extend the braids for length purposes. And we are going to do these butt length. So instead of trying to figure out, oh, how can I get the braid longer? Just take some more of the braiding hair and you're going to feed it in towards the end of the braid or as you're braiding, and you'll keep feeding in more and more hair until you get down to the length that you're looking for. And that's how you make the braids long. All right, so yes, you guys, I'm going to continue parting out her cornrows. I am using Shiny Jam, of course, and I'm using Edge Wax, of course, to help with my braiding, and those are my 2 favorite products right now. So those are the 2 products that I'll be using. Now, one thing I do want to mention to you guys, when I'm braiding my client's hair, I like to hold and position my fingers as if I'm braiding upwards, if that makes sense. I like to keep my index finger and my thumb finger at a nice point. And when I have it at that nice point, I like to position my fingers more upward versus down. And when I do that, it just kind of helps my braids look very nice and sharp. And I know that it kind of doesn't make sense to some of you who are beginner braiders, but if you just kind of try it and position your fingers more upward at a nice sturdy position, you'll see what I mean. That hold will be totally different. You'll see exactly what I mean. All right. So again, I'm going to just keep feeding in the hair. I start off with the client's natural hair and then I feed in small pieces, and I'll gradually make my pieces a little bit bigger from what you see here, but not too much. And I will keep the size of the braided hair the same until until the braid builds up on the consistency of the braid that I'm looking for. Okay, keep that braid keep the braiding hair that you're feeding in the same size. It will build. The braid will get thicker. Trust me. The more you keep adding, the more it gets thicker. But it gets thicker based upon how many times that you're counting before you add in another piece of braiding hair. So I normally do about 3 to 4 times, and then I'll add in another piece. And then I'll braid that in 1, 2, 3, 4, and then I'll add another piece. So it just depends on how much you need and what you're looking for. And if I feel like I don't need any more braiding hair to add in at that time, I won't add it in. And I'll just continue braiding on until I feel like I need to add more. All right, you guys. So we're going to continue watching, and I'll be back. So you guys, these are the Karuchi inspired cornrow braids. So my client, she and I've been doing her hair, man, since like 2015, 2016, and she moved to LA. And so she comes and she flies back when she wants to get her hair braided. Now she has found some braiders in LA, of course, and her braiders in LA do a very nice job on her hair. But when she misses home and she miss having her braider braid her hair, she'll come back and she'll have me do it. So I do appreciate, her being able to travel back and not forget where she started from and where, the beginning of the braids started, and that was with me. So I always appreciate her coming. Her name is Akai, and she is a artist, and she does rap music. So if you want to follow her social medias, I will drop them in the link description box below. Um, she's awesome. So I'm always glad to see her because it's been a while since I've had her in my chair. So now we're doing the Karushi inspired cornrow braids that she asked for. All right, you guys. So with that being said, we're going to do these cornrow braids, and then I am going to show you guys how I complete the braids, one, and then two, we're going to add some beads, and I call them the little antlers where the braids are coming from the front of her face, forward to the front of her face. I call them antlers. Now that's just me. She calls them bangs, and I'm like, what you talking about? I don't know what the bangs are. What do you guys call those things? I'm kind of curious to know, what do you call them? But I call them antlers. I don't care what nobody say. That's what I call them. So my clients be like, "Yeah, I want the cornrows with the antlers." I know what you're talking about. All right, you guys, let's continue watching. All right, you guys, so we are down to our last of final 2 braids, and I am going to continue feeding in the hair like so, in my Tabitha Brown voice, like so, like that. All right, you guys, so with that being said, I'm going to show you guys how I like to feed in the hair from my little antler braid. Remember, I told you guys my little antler braid. And then once I feed that in, I'm going to add in some wooden beads, which I did not get a chance to film because my battery was dying. And I wanted to get some juice so that way I can show you guys the final results of the braids. So if you don't know how to add on beads, I suggest that you YouTube it because YouTube is known to show everything that you're looking for. So it won't be hard to find a video on how to add in beads with a bead stick if you don't know how to do it. Because I know that, a lot of my subscribers are always asking to show every final detail, and sometimes that's just very hard to do, you guys. So I just show you guys the main important things. All right. So with that being said, you'll watch me be able to add in the last braid. And then I'm going to show you guys how I like to do my baby hairs, because listen, I don't do baby hairs. If you've watched any of my YouTube videos, you know that you don't really see me focusing on baby hairs. That's just not a thing for me. And of course, my clients love baby hairs, especially my client today. And I had a very hard time trying to lay her baby hairs down. So I am not happy with how they turned out, but they are there and it is what it is. So when you see them, you'll see exactly what I'm talking about. I am not the queen of baby hairs. I am the queen of parts. So listen, I'm not going to feel bad for it. It's just what it's going to be. So let's continue watching and you guys will see me perfect these non-baby hairs.